You're listening to Big World Network.
The Runaway Farm, Episode 1, written by James Helvig, narrated by John Dieger. Two moons cast shimmering silhouettes beneath our fast-moving forms. The heavier gravity and thinner atmosphere of Plylai makes our efforts exhaustive. Strange fauna and unfamiliar smells assault our senses. Maybe I should have thought this through a bit more. Sweat stinging my eyes, I stumble to a halt. Hands pressed to my knees, panting harshly. My four-legged companion snorts and puffs, tongue lolling and upper lip pulling back in a grimace. He's an augmented red healer. My parents shipped him with me as company. In reality, they hadn't wanted the responsibility of keeping him. Assholes. Looking back toward the base encampment, I see no signs of pursuit. Yet. The first thing they told us upon arrival was that there were no fences, no starter fields. The sarcastic welcome committeemen had smiled, saying, "Go ahead, take a walk. 1/2 click beyond the ultrasonic barrier is beautiful Plylai. It'll kill you, kiddies, and eat your spoiled little carcass." Guess we'll see if he was exaggerating. 6 months earlier. Silently sulking, my parents settle the car with a sharp whine of fans. The bland city building is unremarkable, save the governmental seal molded into the facade. The plump, balding litigator meets us just inside the entrance, ignoring me entirely. Nodding to my mother, he clears his throat. "We're all set. I spoke to the DA, and he's agreed to the conditions we talked about. The isolation therapy is a jack-shrink remedy for dealing with rebellious teenagers." I listen as the oh-so-civil litigator lays it out to my impatient father. "This is a pre-trial diversion. 6 months, a year at most. Colony has an 83% success rate. Jack in the basic skill sets in transit, and it's still cheaper than restitution." The man sounded suspiciously like a used floater salesman. Glaring at me for the disruption in his schedule, my father simply says, "Do it." The court proceedings are curt. The judge never even looked up from his reader. I got a year. Leaving the tightly packed room, I try to reason with my embarrassed parents. "This is harsh. I hacked a server. It's not like I killed somebody." My father grits his teeth and spits back vehemently. "You stole 500,000 credits and released confidential data on hundreds of clients." "Those clients are twisted fulps," I shot back hotly. "Language," my mother hisses, momentarily silencing us both. "You're punishing him too," I say finally, indicating the dog that she's sending with me, despite my objections. "And he didn't do anything." "Stop whining, Balin. We've had enough of your distractions," she continues angrily. "Do you even care how much this is costing?" "In jack time or credits?" I retort. My father stiffens, coming to an abrupt halt. Red-faced, he swivels toward me, leaning his face in until our noses are touching. He says in a harsh whisper, "One more word, and this will be a one-way trip. Try me." Before my big mouth can sink me any further, my mother yanks my arm, pulling me away. Jacking is a term used for linking to the social and data nets. An implant gives a neural feed, making the user feel the experience. The safety protocols work. Usually. My father is a designer. Like with everything else, real safety costs. People have died of dehydration, overstimulation, and every other kind of accident there is from jacking. I only know this because of the classified projects my father works on. That and my parents, like most others, are jacked more often than not. Working and socializing from home is a preference for most people. I hate it. 3 years ago, it killed my girlfriend. The official report cited cerebral hemorrhage, a rarity. I even believed it until I noticed the guilty glances and haunted eyes of my father. It was the first time I looked at his files. Protocol glitch had allowed a massive runaway of respiration and heart rate. My girlfriend had literally been scared to death. My father's company was hired to fix the problem and aid in downplaying the actual causes. Bastards. You are going to zip it. This is harder than you might believe for us. My mother's face is contorted with conflicting emotions. I jerk my arm free. Right, you can't wait to be rid of me. The open-handed slaps sound like thunder in the enclosed space. My face is stinging, and my mouth drops open in disbelief. My mom has never spanked or slapped me, even as a child. My father's expression echoes my own, and people have stopped to stare at the spectacle. Choking back a sob, hand clutched to her mouth, and the color high on her face, she whirls away, heading for the exit. My eyes tear in shame and embarrassment while I watch her quickly receding back. In the silence, her sobs are punctuated by the talking of her heels striking the floor. Come on, my father tells me. The anger is drained from his face, leaving him looking tired and drawn. I can only nod numbly and follow in his wake as the murmur of the crowd resumes around us. The ride home is quiet. I sit alone in the back with the privacy screen engaged. The interlink pings only once with a message. It simply says, the needed files are loaded into the home data net. Jack in, your transit lifts in the morning. I lean forward and jab the acknowledge key. Shit. 13 hours and I'm gone. Not just me. My mind turns to my constant companion, Innie. Feeling guilty about his being sent with me is overshadowed by a sense of relief that I won't be alone. I've had him since he was a pup. Since my implants have been coded for restriction and the SPS, Solar Positioning System, is actively being monitored, trying to run off to avoid the ship isn't possible. At least, I haven't figured out how to do it. Sighing loudly, I open the link and start reviewing the information on my destination. Technically, you can learn any skill by plugging in, assuming you have the memory for it, but viewing and doing are very different in reality. Plylai looks like a dumpy frontier world, 4 gates and 113 days away. I'll be in hypersleep for most of it. Passengers only need to be awake for gate transits. Besides, popsicles don't burn as many valuable resources. Feeling the restrictor blocks on all sides makes the jack link claustrophobic. Frustrated, I decide, Fulp it. Let's see if they're any good. Opening my awareness, I probe the edges of the blocks. They taste bland and unimaginative. In short order, I've disassembled and duped in a buoy for the Watchers. I've said I hate this shit, never said I didn't know how to use it. Randy Smar stares out the window, stealing glances at his wife Anita. Her eyes are closed, but she's not jacking. Lost in thought, she started moments later when she says softly, He's like you. That's why you argue so much. Turning to look into her eyes, he frowns, shaking his head. He's nothing like me. I've been trying to figure out what I missed. Taking her husband's hand and squeezing it, Anita replies, Nothing? Then how did a 17-year-old hack your security? He's as brilliant as his father, and twice as stubborn. Chuckling, Randy replies, The stubbornness is all you. Pausing and rubbing his chin, he continues, As for the security issues, that's what bothers me the most. I didn't know he was hacking me until this mess all blew up. He's got talent and skills. Damn it. Slapping a hand down on the control yoke in frustration, he leans back in his seat, struggling to rein in his rising temper. They've had this conversation many times. Taking a deep breath, he exhales loudly. This is the best deal I could get. Let's hope it works. Leaning across and putting her head on his shoulder, Anita asks, Do you think he's broken the court restrictor blocks yet? Smiling despite himself, Randy answers, Is his dog a smartass? Lightly patting his chest, she mumbles, "That's why I love you, dear. You're such a sophisticate." Watching sleepily from the end of the bed, Annie yawns and stretches, cat-like. Irritated, I grumble. "We're going to be asleep for most of the next 3 months. Don't you have something better to do?" "Thought of peeing on you. Mine still," Annie replies throatily. The canine implants and miter body modifications allow for speech and low-level jacking. Most non-humans care little for abstract socializing. "Tired of watching you rabbit twitch." "Done?" he asks. Scrubbing a hand across my face, I grimace. Hacking the lockout protocols was straightforward. I used the last 6 hours to download and study everything possibly useful on the system we're headed to. As I sit up and swing my legs off the bed, Annie uses the movement to roll into me. Scratching his side and neck, I reply, "I don't twitch." "And yeah, for a while." Rolling his head back to look up at me, he says, "Outside then?" Chuckling, I grab his muzzle and gave it a gentle shake. "You can cord the door open yourself. You just want me to keep you company." Chuffing, Innie's upper lip curls upwards into a sneer and he growls, "Sniffing and sharing before we go. A long time before we are home." Throat constricting, I shrug, trying hard to project indifference. "You just want to smell some butts and pee on stuff." Grinning, Annie sits up, jumping down to trot out of the room. "You should try it." Mumbling under my breath, I follow my mutt outside, heading for the park. The clock in my head counts down the scant hours remaining before departure.
You're listening to Big World Network.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.